What TV show or movie or like fictional made thing do you think, in your opinion, is the most closely related to the phenomenon?
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that because of the tie-in with Hynek?
Yes.
And, Valet and
yeah, you look at those, you look at even the description of the entities, those came directly out of Project Blue Book files.
Wow.
And Spielberg's little way of saying that is having, Hynek have a cameo appearance smoking a cigar, right? Or a pipe. I think he was smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the encounter. But even down to Richard Dreyfuss' face being burned, those came right out of, Close Encounter. So you got Close Encounter of the First Kind, right? You see a UFO. Close Encounter of the Second Kind, it interacts with the environment, burns someone's face, leaves imprints to the ground, affects plant life, whatever, radar, photographs. And then you got Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Well, those came directly out of, he was a consultant, as was Jacques Vallée.
Yep.
And Jacques Vallée, his character was portrayed. And you'll talk to a lot of witnesses that go, that's what I saw. I saw that exact orb, or I saw that, So that was the most realistic, in my opinion, film, ever made. And again, those came right out of, I don't know about the chandelier, but pretty cool stuff.
Well, the chandelier I've heard of. I have someone who's had a picture of something similar, which is interesting. You say that, but it is interesting. How much do you think Spielberg knows? The guy's a fan, dude. He's been putting out consistent UFO ET docs.
No question. I actually have a letter from Spielberg that was written to Larry King about me and my movie.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'll get you. I could probably. Yeah. Excuse me. Remind me. I can get you a copy of it.
Great.
So, Larry King. I don't talk about this that often. I'm not talking about it now because I told Spielberg's publicist, I'll think of his name in a second, that I was planning on going public, and unless I heard from him, I'm going public with it because I sat on it for 10 years. Larry King had sent a copy, a rough cut of I Know What I Saw to Steven Spielberg, and was like, hey, this is the real life Close Encounters. You should check it out. And then a couple days later, I get a call from what was it? I got a call from an agency informing me that Steven Spielberg was going to watch my movie. It was kind of weird. Like I just got this call from the agency. It wasn't from Larry King's office. It was actually from someone at the same agency. And they were like, Mr. Fox, just wanted to inform you this is so-and-so over at the so-and-so agency that Steven Spielberg is about to watch your movie. And it was like 10 in the morning. I was like, really? Wow. God, that's cool. So I was like, well, let me know how it goes. And I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you're not going to believe that Steven Spielberg's watching I Know What I Saw right now. This is amazing. And my dad's like, well, come on down. Let's have tea together. So I went down to my dad's house and we had tea and we're having tea. And I'm like, Steven Spielberg's watching my movie right now. I'm like, whoa, And then I get a phone call like 2 hours later, whatever. And Cesaria, I think her name was, at the agency. And she's like, well, Steven watched the movie. Okay, well, what happened? She's like, well, he wrote a letter to Larry King. And that was it. I said, he watched the movie and then he wrote a letter to Larry King. She goes, yeah, I just wanted to let you know. I was like, okay, thanks. Then about a week later, I get a call. I think it was Avriel Gallagher, probably. She's like, we got something for you. I was like, it came from Steven Spielberg. I was like, oh my gosh, tell me what, we're going to FedEx it to you. So I was like, cool. Yeah. So gave her the address. And like a day later, I lived in a small town at the time, and the FedEx driver was like, James Fox, you're not going to believe this. He came running out to my door. He goes, you got a letter from Larry King. It's a FedEx from Larry King's office. I was like, yeah, and guess what? It's a letter from Steven Spielberg about a UFO doc. He goes, can I watch you open it? I was like, yeah, so we sat there and I ripped the thing open and there's a letter from Steven Spielberg talking about the movie, he goes, despite the fact that I've made so much attention to the phenomenon or, UFOs, the subject matter, I unfortunately have never seen a UFO and that is so unfair. I hope that you will continue reporting, blah, 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 blah. So I had a quote from Steven Spielberg about my movie. in writing. And
his handwriting, the original letter.
Yeah, I have the original letter.
Wow,
yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was typed and signed. And so, so I contact his publicist. Can't believe I can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry. And I said, I could look it up. And I said, hey, I've got, I said, I want to use it. Oh, we don't endorse movies. I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I said, he already gave me I have the quote. You have the quote? I said, yeah. He goes, well, what do you mean you have the quote? I said, well, Larry King sent me the letter. Larry King gave you the letter? And I was like, yeah, and I'd like to use it. Could you imagine having a quote from Steven Spielberg back in the day on a UFO doc?
Insane.
Like literally, like I remember this guy that I was working with, he goes, dude, that's the difference between here and the stars. Like that'll just catapult you into the, so my dad goes, well, you have the quote. Why don't you just use it? I was like, ooh, Dad, but I don't really.
You want to burn a bridge?
And so he's like, well, we would appreciate it if you didn't use that.
Wow.
So I was thinking to myself, like, all the attention, here we got this like fully independent, in the trenches, documentary filmmaker, like, doing the best he can. And like your support would just mean the world to me. And you liked the movie and you said it, you found it really compelling, but you won't let me use it like publicly. So anyway, I was a little disappointed. And so I don't know, maybe like 10 years went by or something like that. And I sent him a letter. I sent him an email and we'd been corresponding a little bit. And I was like, hey, just so you know, I intend to go public with that letter. It's been 10 years. And unless I hear from you, I'll assume that that's okay. And I didn't hear from him. So I published it a lot. I mean, I put it out there. I should put it out there more recently, but I'll give it to you.
That is so cool.
Isn't that crazy?
That is amazing. And
I know.
And good for you. I think you made the right call, not putting it out, like ethically.
Yeah.
I think much to your point, I think he knows how much that's worth.
Yeah.
Putting his name on anything, you know what I mean? So, and had he wanted to put his name on it, I think he would let you know. But I think that's, it sounds to me like his way of sort of saying, hey, this is a great movie without saying, hey, this is a great movie.
Yeah.
I
mean, the weight of his endorsement would have been game changing.
Typed and signed, like that takes effort. That's not an email. It's not a text. It's not a DM.
Yep.
So that goes a long way as an aspiring filmmaker. I'm sure that
I have it on my wall.
Yeah.
I have it framed on my wall. Yeah.